What's up, everybody? My name is Cole Altman, and welcome back to Fantasyland. Today, we are just talking about some tips and tricks going into your draft this year, and I honestly think this is going to be a pretty good podcast because this year in fantasy, I've learned a lot about the draft strategy, and this specific podcast isn't about draft strategy, but it's about different tips that you can use throughout the season that will help you succeed more. And so I want to start off with why wide receiver is undoubtedly the most important position this year. And I think that honestly, there's a lack of elite wide receivers this year. I mean, there's three top guys in Kupp, Jefferson, and Chase, but you also don't really have any guys besides that. So, you have Diggs, you have Lamb, you have Devontae Adams, but they're not. I wouldn't call those guys elite anymore. But yeah, I mean, wide receiver is so deep this year, and there's so many great rookie guys that I feel like it's tough not to want to take them. And I feel like depth at that position is really could win you a championship. And there's no downplaying it. Like the running back risk, we've seen it time and time again. Derrick Henry's injury last year, CMC's injury prone, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara. So you just see all these injuries, and you wonder why we haven't valued wide receivers this highly before. And I always have. No one else has. And now people are kind of just starting to catch on. And also, I want to discuss the importance of handcuffs this year because last year I had Dalvin Cook and Saquon Barkley. They both got hurt. And I didn't have Madison or Devontae Booker. So that really hurt me. And that really put me in the shitter for the rest of the season because I didn't have anyone to replace those two guys. Those two guys are irreplaceable. You start with $200 at the beginning of the auction, and you lose $80 on those guys. Those guys are at the window. So it's just a difficult thing if you don't have handcuffs. So having guys like Tony Pollard or guys like Alexander Madison, guys like A.J. Dillon, even though he's not really a handcuff anymore, just having guys like that could win you a championship if your guys gets hurt. Even if they don't get hurt, you're going to want to pick those handcuffs because guys like Dalvin Cook and CMC are definitely going to get hurt for a week or two here and there. So handcuffs, I can't explain it enough. You need to get them. I don't care if you're deciding between a wide receiver that you're high on or a handcuff that could save you your team. Definitely take the handcuff. And I think also I went into the year using this draft strategy. I drafted as many rookie wide receivers as I could. And the wide receiver class is so deep and the wide receiver depth just does not end. And I mean, you have Treylon Burks, you have Drake London, who I love. You have Chris Olave, you have Garrett Wilson. You have all these guys who have Jameson Williams. You have all these guys who have all this potential, and you haven't seen that kind of potential from rookie wide receivers in a long time. So I did an auction last night. I took Olave, Burks, London, and Garrett Wilson, and I'm hoping one of them pans out. And if one of them turns into a star, having those four on my bench, that is a success because you're spending probably no more than $5 on each of them. Like each, not total, obviously. But honestly, if you're in a draft or dynasty league, those guys are ultra valuable, especially Drake London. So, you're really going to want to go for the rookie wide receivers this year. My next thing, and I know a lot of people have struggled with this, underestimating the zero running back strategy is really a mistake. Like I said, the importance of wide receivers is just growing and growing and growing as you see these young stars emerge. And honestly, I was in the auction last night. Diggs, Adams, and Jefferson went to one team, and his best running back was Ken Walker. And honestly, I personally think that zero RB strategy isn't amazing. I think having a star running back and then crap at the rest, I don't think that's a bad strategy, but I think that zero running back strategy is definitely legit, and as long as you have stars at other positions to fill the hole that the running back would have, it is not a bad strategy whatsoever. Now, one of my last things is, this is a short podcast, by the way. I have somewhere to go, and I figured I'd get one in. So I honestly believe a lot in the Atlanta Falcons offense this year. And I know a lot of people would disagree with me on that, and I understand why. But Kyle Pitts and Drake London are going to be absolutely force-fed targets. There's no one else to throw the ball to. They have no running game. So they're just going to throw the ball 35 times a game with Marcus Mariota. And if he can somehow prove to be at least a little good, Kyle Pitts and Drake London are going to be huge beneficiaries of that. And that's why I have Pitts on my team, and I'm currently trying to pursue Drake London because Drake London I watched him in college. He had an absurd amount of talent. He's quick. His route running is so crisp. So those two guys, special guys on that offense, and I wouldn't underestimate them, even though they have poor QB play. And I want to end with a few overhyped players that I feel I need to put out there. And I've been hearing tens and hundreds of people talk about these guys like they're God, like they're Jesus, like they're the Messiah. Like Deebo Samuel, I really think he's going to take a big drop off this year. He benefited from Jimmy Garoppolo. He couldn't move, and he had to throw the ball every single down. And they're not going to do that anymore. Trey Lance is going to run the ball. Trey Lance doesn't have an amazing arm. He's going to look for guys like Ayuk, and reports out of camp say Ayuk is looking like a number one target right now. So Deebo Samuel, I mean, he's pretty much a lock for wide receiver 2 production, but I wouldn't expect anything more from him this season. And same with Jalen Waddle. Just he's really concerning. I think that whole Miami offense, unless your name is Chase Edmonds or Raheem Mostert, is really up in the air. I think that Tyreek Hill could be top 3. He could be outside the top 10. So a lot of question marks, but I just don't know where Jalen Waddle fits in there. There's a lot of reports outside of camp saying Jalen Waddle doesn't know where he fits. So it's a troublesome situation. And here's a guy that I was actually pretty high on last year, Elijah Moore. He was a stud for a few weeks here and there, but they wouldn't have taken, think about it, do some critical thinking here. They would not have taken a wide receiver with their 8th pick in the draft if they didn't feel like they had to. And they're trying to get all the weapons they can for Zach Wilson. And Garrett Wilson is a lock. And he was super talented, and he has high potential, and I just don't know where Elijah Moore fits in on that. So 2 guys I'm going to end with are Antonio Gibson and Derrick Henry, and I honestly have the same things to say about them. Gibson, everyone's going gung-ho about Gibson after Brian Robinson unfortunately got shot multiple times in a robbery attempt. But Antonio Gibson was not good last year, was not consistent. He somehow still ended as the RB10, but he was not consistent last year, even when Brian Robinson wasn't there. And now they franchise tagged J.D. McKissick, so they obviously want him to stay. And so that speaks volumes. And same thing with Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry got so many of his rushing touchdowns and rushing points off the play action pass. And that was to A.J. Brown. And they just don't have that guy anymore. Can Treylon Burks evolve to be that guy? He could, for sure. He's a lot of upside. But right now, going into the season, I think valuing him as the RB2 or RB3 over guys like Eckler or McCaffrey is just preposterous. Everybody, I know this was short, but I appreciate you joining me today. Definitely on Monday, maybe tomorrow, we will have a podcast out with Alex Carpenter and special guest Tim Ferry. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.